So here's a short story which is a perfect example of the type of drama that can be stirred up in the workplace thanks to the incessant need of the gals to have drama. Interestingly, whenever you hear these stories about that type of thing, it almost always is a gal stirring up a bunch of nonsense and making people's work lives a nightmare. And in this story here, this is a guy, he's a teacher, and talking about an elementary school he worked in, and all the drama and BS dealing with a counselor, a principal, and another teacher who all happen to not be dudes. And it's a perfect example, guys. You got to watch out there. But there's a little justice in this world. Titled, I ignored the warnings about a new coworker and accidentally starred in the most toxic workplace of my life. And a shout out to Mr. Arkansas for sending in this story. So it starts off, says here, this happened about 2 years ago, but it is still without competition the most toxic workplace I've ever been a part of. A couple years into teaching, we hired a new staff member. I worked with her briefly over the summer, and she seemed fine. Quiet, friendly, harmless. Other staff members warned me about her and told me not to trust her. But I decided to be a decent human being and give her the benefit of the doubt. Smack! When other people are telling you about somebody, lots of people, you listen to them. Watch this. Spoiler alert, that was a mistake. To fully understand how unhinged this became, you need to know what our leadership looked like at the time. Our principal was someone who loved to talk about accountability, but never actually practiced it. As the principal female, students could destroy classrooms without consequences, parents ran the front office, and staff found out important district info last, if any at all. Eventually, she was quietly placed on medical leave and replaced with an interim principal whose main mission seemed to be fixing the building by cracking down on staff. We were immediately labeled lazy, unmotivated, and non-compliant, which was a great morale booster. This sounds like a terrible school to work at. And you guys hear all that? And what we're about to get into is going to prove this is going to be the poster child of the educational system in the United States. It's a freaking joke. If I had kids, they'd be homeschooled, or at least at a decent charter school that I thoroughly pay attention to. Around this time, our school counselor started acting strange. We couldn't quite pinpoint what it was, but something was off. Later, we found out that she was upset that staff didn't throw her a bridal shower over the summer. A bridal shower we had offered to throw her, one that she originally declined, so that was fun. That has nothing to do with your job as a teacher, running the school and all that, except drama, drama, drama. And notice the guidance counselor, or whoever this is a she starting drama. It's ridiculous. Not long after, teachers started getting called into the interim principal's office for conversations about things we supposedly said around the building. The weird part was that the principal was never actually around when these conversations happened. Shocker. I thought students get dragged into the principal's office, not the teachers, for this drama. However, the two people always seem to be nearby, the counselor and the new hire. The new hire is the one he mentioned in the beginning of the story. Funny how that works out. Slowly, staff began getting reprimanded for microscopic things. The counselor started acting like admin despite very much not being admin. She told teachers how to do their jobs, inserted herself into decisions, and reported people constantly. It felt like less like a school and more like a reality show. Notice the pattern here. All the she's stirring up all the drama. What the hell? I'd be getting out of there. While he shouldn't have to leave, still there's a point when it's just that bad time to get out of there. Things hit a boiling point during Spirit Week. The counselor created a Spirit Week calendar that we were expected to follow. My class wanted to participate, but tweak a few things so it felt meaningful for our classroom community. Same themes, just adjusted in a way that worked for my students. Apparently, this was a direct attack on her authority. Here we go. Because she's a control freak, because she's a narcissist. That's why. She reported me to admin for overstepping and trying to take over Spirit Week. I explained that it was a student-led and meant to build classroom culture. Admin let me off with a warning, but the counselor absolutely saw red and never let it go. Well, of course. This is a terrible environment. Again, this is, when do people work at this place, huh? I bet you people listening to this right now have had job environments like this, and not in schools, just in a typical office setting. After that, the behavior escalated from petty to generally disturbing. She dug through my classroom trash while students were in the room looking for evidence that I threw away her posters. She complained that I didn't say hi to her in the hallway. She reported teachers for having coffee together in classrooms an hour before school to prep for the day. At this point, it felt like we were one step away from being written up for blinking incorrectly. This is psycho. When I was in school, elementary, junior high, and high school, guess what? The teachers would have coffee together. They'd gather during school, before school, and after school. Probably usually to vent about us dumbass kids, but regardless. The line was crossed when she singled out my child, who attended the school and made her uncomfortable. Oh, hell no, you're going to mess with my kid, That's when I contacted HR and reported her for creating a hostile work environment. About fucking time. I'd be doing that from the get-go. Meanwhile, she was flooding my inbox with emails about how I'd hurt her feelings and how disappointed she was in me, all while I was actively teaching children. Tell her to go suck your you-know-what. See, he should fight fire with fire. She's making trouble for you, go to HR. The problem is, HR is going to usually side with, and HR is usually full of more women. After HR got involved, I drew a hard boundary. I kept things professional, limited contact, and distanced myself from her entirely. Well, that's the way to go, until they stir up more shit. I stayed friendly with the new hire until admin called me and another teacher into a meeting. We were told we were making the new hire feel uncomfortable. Here we go. This is how you can't win. We were stunned. We ate lunch together. We talked before and after school. There had been zero indication that there was an issue. That's when it finally clicked. She had been recording conversations, documenting concerns, and reporting everything to admin. And why was that? Because she was very close friends with the counselor. Ding, ding, ding. You were warned about the new hire. Get out of there. This is a sinking ship. It's not worth it. Once we realized what was happening, we cut communication down to strictly work-related topics. That immediately turned into a new complaints that we were being cliquey and excluding them. You see how you can't win? It's like, you hear these stories and situations like this. These are the assholes that you get rid of, even if you take a hit. Frankly, even if you get a lawsuit, it's not worth it. Because notice who's constantly stirring up the trouble. These complainers, not the rest of the staff. Admin eventually sent a building-wide email discouraging staff from meeting before or after school because it made certain people feel left out. Yes, really. Well, HR stepped in again. The counselor was told to stay out of any workspace and was eventually moved to a different building for the following school year. That's about freaking time. Well, the new hire stayed and somehow things got worse. Well, of course, you keep a bad apple around, it's going to get worse. She was hired as an interventionalist, but instead of providing interventions, she talked to students about her own depression, how hard her life was when she was their age, and generally used intervention at times as free therapy for herself. This is in an elementary school. This is what she's doing. She's using their therapy time to talk about her problems. What I say about a narcissist? All these people that stir up this type of crap at work, they're all narcissists. She routinely showed up late, worked on her doctorate during school hours, and ignored her actual responsibilities. Meanwhile, kids weren't meeting their learning goals, and admin refused to listen because staff had already been branded as difficult. Well, admin are morons. Despite all this, she was promoted to a half-time interventionalist and half-time instructional coach. Of course, the asshole's promoted because the people that are in charge don't want to deal with her. Watching someone who actively avoided her job become responsible for coaching teachers was something. After that, we started noticing even more. She belittled staff, made racially inappropriate comments, created wildly inappropriate relationships with students, and spent more time making giant posters than doing anything she actually was paid to do. Several staff members were moved to different buildings due to their claims of harassment. I eventually left the school. Hallelujah! There's a point. Enough's enough. I refused to stay in a building that protected manipulative adults and punished teachers who were trying to advocate for the kids. Yeah, you got good teachers that are trying to do their job and what they were supposed to do, and it's never-ending drama with these assholes. The last update I heard was almost poetic. New staff and admin quickly turned on her. She tried the same tactics, made new claims, and even attempted to get admin fired. This time it backfired. She lost her coaching position and was eventually forced out of elementary education due to her reputation in the district. It's about freaking time. But before you laugh and see justice is served, listen to this. She now works at a high school. Oh, great. And honestly, I hope there's someone closely watching. The end. So you have a somewhat appropriate ending. She's finally booted out, but not entirely. She wasn't fired because she's back at a high school. Now, at least she's not dealing with little kids and messing them up, but now she's dealing with high school kids. I don't know what this broad looks like, but given her behavior, if she's remotely attractive, I would have put it past her to, articles are written up about teachers all the time engaging in these things. You guys know what I'm talking about here. But holy freaking crap. Drama, drama, drama. It's unreal. But that stuff happens all the time. But at the end of the day, what really goes on here is people like that stir up trouble. The people at the top don't want lawsuits. They know that they're trouble, and they fear that if they fire them or reprimand them, they'll go to a lawyer and sue the school district, or they may lose their jobs, or the company might get sued. So they appease these a-holes, and everybody that shows up and does a good job, they suffer. And then eventually, these people ultimately get fired anyway. It's ridiculous. But people need to hear these stories more often so that, especially the bosses, so they don't tolerate this crap. But it's amazing. And I'm glad she was booted out of there, thank God. And I don't know what happened to that principal, but still. But it's interesting, but notice the gender of all the people that were a problem in this story. And in the school system, overwhelmingly, it's female teachers. And don't get me wrong, there are some good ones. I've seen them. I had that when I was younger, and I got a family, have kids. They got good ones too. And I know some good teachers that are women. But interestingly, there's all that crazy energy in there. Drama, drama, drama. And we know who loves the drama, drama, drama. It can't be tolerated, I mean, it's just unreal. I'd love to see what it'd be like in a teaching environment where overwhelmingly they were all men. What would happen there? I don't think there'd be this type of crap. But then again, that's not going to happen. Not in today's world. But anyhow, there you go, guys.